Hey, homeowners, when was the last time you checked on your home title? That, of course, is the legal record proving that you own your home. Yep, if your answer is never, then this is for you. Scammers are stealing titles. Yeah, they're stealing the title to your home. Your equity is the target. That's why I partnered with Home Title Lock so you could find out today if you're already a victim. Don't be a victim. Use my promo code Anthony at HometitleLock.com and you'll get a free title history report. Plus, you're going to get a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. Hollywood, you all know. If you've listened to this show once or twice, maybe, you would understand my disdain for Hollywood. It is just a pit of garbage people. They truly believe they are better than you. They know what's best for you. That's some real, that'll get you pissed off when you hear them speak. And whatever, you feel that way, keep it to yourself. Pop in front of a camera, have some writer, pour some words into your empty head, and we'll love it. We'll go to the movies. We'll keep you wealthy in your gated home with your security guards and everything. The second you started telling us how we should live our lives, what we should believe in, that really started the snowball rolling downhill. And we don't like you anymore. We don't consider you the beautiful people. Tinseltown, which Hollywood used to be called, is now a tarnished crap hole. And no one cares about it anymore. They really don't. There's not this mystique. It's just gone. The shine has gone away. And I would be remiss in my duties here as a radio talk show host to not discuss some of the people who have recently spouted off. Some of these celebrities. Celebrity means to celebrate. That alone is like, really? You're kidding me, right? We should celebrate you? You're a celebrity? So, Rob Reiner, the lovable meathead. I have to assume people that listen to this program on these various stations and whatnot probably were around during All in the Family back in the early to mid 70s when it was at its peak, I think. And Rob Reiner played Meathead. And boy, did we never think in real life he could be more moronic than Michael Stivic, Archie's liberal son-in-law. And then we found out, oh, no, oh, my God, he really is Meathead. He's more of a liberal. Even Meathead, back in the day, watching All in the Family, even he was caught sometimes where Archie would kind of give him a look and go, see there, Meathead? And Meathead's kind of caught in this hypocritical situation where he does see certain things about crime or women, and it was refreshing. Meathead doesn't have any of those qualities, or the real Meathead, Rob Reiner, doesn't have any of those qualities. He is an imbecile. And this panic, they all are panicked about every single thing. We've seen them with climate change. They love talking about that. How many times have we seen these liberals talk about, well, another 3 years, another 5 years, another 10 years, and what happens? What happens? My favorite meme that gets posted every so often is the picture of Plymouth Rock. And you see that it's still there. The water is no deeper around Plymouth Rock than it was when the Pilgrims stepped off of the Mayflower. And apparently, you listen to these liberals, climate change panicky Pete's, the water levels are rising. Oh, the atmosphere is getting hotter. The ice caps are melting. And then you look around and go, I don't know. I remember going to this beach on Long Island since I was a kid, and it's still here. It's still here. So they just want to panic everyone. And Rob Reiner, he was just speaking to someone, one of these liberal newscasters. I can't imagine him actually going on a news show where someone might ask him tough questions or might call out what he's saying and question it and say, hey, meathead. I would only call him meathead. And here he is talking about we have a year left. A year. Now you might go, Anthony, what does meathead say we have 1 year of? Well, hold on to your hats. It's democracy. There's just a year left. Trump hasn't even been president for a year. And we, by this time next year, you'll be gearing up maybe for Halloween, and we will not have a democracy. Just like the ice caps were going to melt. And New York and Florida will be underwater. And all the other nonsensical things these morons spout on a daily basis. So let's listen to a little of Rob Reiner here. I'll let you know when to cut it off because, believe me, I know it's like torture. Here's Rob.
This is just the beginning, and people have to understand our democracy is being taken away from us, and we only have about a year. Just to be clear about this. And people, you're doing a great job, and a lot of other people are doing a good job.
Thank you, Rob. Oh, not me.
People what is actually happening in this country. But make no mistake, we have a year before this country becomes a full-on autocracy and democracy completely leaves us.
Completely.
We're looking at the election in 2026, and Donald Trump knows. He knows that in a free and fair election, he will lose. He will lose the House.
Does he?
The House will flip and will become into Democratic hands. There'll be committee chairs that'll be able to hold hearings. And this is the last thing he wants. So this little, these ICE agents and the National Guard, and now he's called the military in from all over the world to talk to them about, don't be surprised when polling booths are surrounded by American military in the guise of making sure that the elections are fair and that nobody's tampering with it.
Tampering.
And when you see violence breaking out, which there'll be protests, there'll be inciting violence, there'll be some violence, and they'll kick back. Then you'll see the commandeering of voting machines, ballot boxes, to make sure that that election is secure. Well, what that means is that he will then commandeer the election. So we have to make the public. All right.
I think that's enough of Rob right now. Thank you. Do you hear it? Do you hear him describing something we saw in 2020? Talk about commandeering an election. I mean, we saw videos of strange people with gloves on, stuffing ballot boxes, bags, luggage, with mysterious ballots being wheeled into counting centers where they boarded up the windows so you couldn't look in. Donald Trump has done nothing in his first term and so far in his second term to even make anyone even think he would try to affect an election illegally or do anything inappropriate when it comes to the sanctity of our election. Who has? Let's think. Oh, Russiagate. Donald Trump is this, that. He's a criminal. Let's try him right before an election when he's the number one candidate on the opposition of the Democrats, Joe Biden. If anyone has proven that they have tried to illegally influence an election, not even influence, literally do stuff that changes the election, it's the Democrats. They've shown it over and over again. Yet they try to make you believe and make you afraid that Trump is going to do this. Why? Because he sent ICE and the Border Patrol into cities that are known to harbor illegals, illegal aliens that Joe Biden let in. He's cleaning up Biden's mess. That's all we're seeing, is cleaning up the last guy's mess, the invasion he allowed to happen when he let people just cross over our borders. And because he's sending in the National Guard to protect ICE and the Border Patrol because of the protesters. These are agitators. These are treasonous agitators that are assaulting law enforcement, preventing them from doing their job, the job we want them to do. We voted in Donald Trump to do this. It's not protesting. And when they start assaulting ICE officers and preventing them from doing the job they're supposed to do, yeah, then you got to bring in the National Guard. And as an aside, it cuts down on the crime going on. If you have the National Guard whipping around Chicago, there's going to be less shootings. I don't think some of these young gangbangers, as they call them, want to step out and start unloading a Glock with a switch if a soldier is next to him. So that's a good little side effect. And there are certain cities he sent the Guard to just for that purpose. Memphis, for one. Portland is another one with their protesters. And the governors and mayors in these cities and states, they speak out about it like it's this terrible thing because there's less of a body count of your citizenry. Less of your constituents are being murdered on every weekend. And that's a problem. You see that as a problem. And then you escalate it to think that these troops, which are saving the lives of your citizens, are now going to swoop in and do something to keep Trump in office or keep the House and Senate from flipping when he's made no indications. And again, who has made indications that they have affected the election through illegal means? The Democrats. More projection. Ugh. So much to talk about. I see some calls up there. 800-848-9222. Back with more, your calls, and so much more of the Anthony Cumia Show.
Anyway, you were talking about the celebrities and, they're spouting off their liberal beliefs. It's funny how they constantly want to call conservatives Nazis.
Always.
But yet they act very Nazi-like with, if you don't think like they do, they shun you.
Yeah,
like
shun.
How many?
Dude, Scott, shunning would be awesome, Scott. They go well beyond just shunning. They need to be in your business. If you disagree with them, I wish they would shun you. They get in your face. They assault people. They prevent them from letting their point be heard to a bunch of other people that might want to hear it. But they know better. They know better.
Right. Well, and exactly. I mean, and I don't understand how when they want to protest at these ICE, wherever they want to protest, I don't care what they're protesting. Mm-hmm. I don't understand how they conceive that a protest should be where they can assault a police officer or a federal agent, and that's part of protesting.
Yeah, they think it's free speech. They think it's protected speech to be able to go up, get in people's faces, police officers, block them from doing their job. A big thing they're doing at these ICE facilities, these dumb liberal kids with their nose rings and they pull their vehicles up. A crowd of them will stand right in front of the exit where these ICE vehicles have to be able to go in and out to do their job. And then when ICE grabs one of them, spins them around and drops them on their ass, they're beside themselves. They can't figure out how this is allowed. They start yelling, police brutality. You're assaulting that person. No, they're so used to being able to get away with anything, especially when it comes to law enforcement. And it isn't happening now. We're seeing a lot of these law enforcement agencies putting them on their asses, and it's wonderful.
Glorious. I love how, like you said, they hate the Constitution, they hate this country, but the minute they get touched, they want to scream, "You can't do this! I'm an American. I've got rights."
Yeah, every right. Whenever you hear one of these dolts say, "I know my rights," you can guarantee they don't know a single one of their rights.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Love it, Scott. Thanks for the call,
Thank
bro.
you, sir.
Yeah. There's a story a little later on in the show I'm going to get to where, once again, these people that profess to know and have such passion for the subjects or the events or the people they're protesting about know absolutely nothing about it. They are completely ignorant. And I bring up the gun control people all the time about this. I've never seen a group of people that want to infringe upon your Second Amendment right with every breath they take and know nothing about the laws, the Constitution, the Second Amendment, the basic mechanics of a gun. What makes an automatic and a semi-automatic? What is an automatic pistol? It's not the same as an automatic rifle. They just hear things. They know nothing about them. And the second they're called on it, they get violent. They don't want to hear from you anymore. They'll smack the camera or phone or mic out of your hand. This is what we're dealing with. They're like children. Worse yet, they're like emotionally disturbed children. Kids that you can't really get to by sitting them down and talking to them. They need a timeout, maybe shackles. I don't know. Let's see. We got a little Jane Fonda here, too, since we're doing Hollywood and Rob Reiner's take on the democracy. We got a year left, Rob says, of democracy. Here's Jane Fonda. She's spouting her entire life history has been just this liberal crap pouring out of her. And here she is, not missing a beat. She's got problems, of course, with Trump and MAGA. Here's Jane.
Authoritarians, I'm learning, take about 18 to 22 months to consolidate power. This administration is moving fast, which means we have to move fast. We have to do everything we can to stop what's happening before it becomes the norm, before it becomes institutionalized. And, you know, a lot of sectors of our society are being attacked. But as my father and Judy Garland and scores of other major stars in the 50s knew, freedom is in our bones. Freedom of speech is essential to
freedom to pop pills,
storytellers as we are. And we're going to fight. And we're going to show we have the capacity, because we're so creative, to come up with CNN, creative, nonviolent, non-cooperation against resistance, and model that for the rest of the country. This is a time, you know, when I accepted my Screen Actors Guild Life Achievement Award, you know, I said, we all watch documentaries of, you know, like the lunch counter sit-ins in Mississippi and Tennessee, and people being beaten, dogs attacking them, etc., and wondered, would I have been as brave? This is our documentary moment right now. We don't have to ask ourselves anymore, are we going to be brave enough to stand up? Because the only thing that can stop this is this massive movement of people, nonviolent and unified. Well, and that's what we're trying to encourage and inspire. Right. And we're starting with
thank you. Nonviolent. You've not shown nonviolence. The left are the most violent people out there. And just the whole, how amazing they are. We're the talented ones. We're the ones that are creative. And the dogs and the fire hoses, really? Where were you, Jane? Where were you when that was happening? I don't remember seeing any old black and white videos of Jane Fonda being pushed across the road with a fire hose. With a German Shepherd hanging off of that hot ass she had back then. I don't remember that, Barbarella. Where you been? Oh, they're just so entitled. And the back patting. They've been coddled and told how amazing they are for so long, for being able to get in front of a camera And again, like I said, they pop their head open, dump a bunch of words that a talented writer perhaps came up with, and then they spout their lines in front of a camera, and they actually believe they're brilliant and that any topic they could come up with something much more profound and interesting than any of you subhuman, regular working people. I'm Jane Fonda. I'm Jane Fonda. Go sit on another anti-aircraft gun of the enemy. Yeah. Oh God. Oh, if this was the internet, not radio. All right. Oh, I'm angry already. Back in seconds with more of the Anthony Cumia Show. Norman in Brooklyn. What's up, Norman?
Yes, Anthony. Okay, Rob Reiner. Okay, Rob Reiner, Beverly Hills, spoiled son of Carl Reiner.
Yep.
Here's the situation. What I often say about Rob Reiner is he is what he is. I mean, he's been a commie lib for his whole life.
Yep.
I mean, he was fostered by Norman Lear, which that entire show, which I liked All in the Family at the time, but that show was basically designed to show, to humiliate if you were conservative.
Yeah, it really backfired. It backfired on them because they thought it was going to be like people laughing at Archie. And most of the people watching it, especially at the time, they kind of liked Archie would say certain things. He'd be like, he's got a point.
Right. But, every single one of them on that show was an absolute communist.
Yep.
I mean, Sally Struthers, I don't think she won't comment about what went on that show. Because I think politically she was different than, my feeling, I'm different than Rob and different than
Carol O'Connor was the bleeding heart liberal.
Norman Lear was definitely a communist. Yeah. So, I don't, I'm seeing a severe inferiority complex coming from Rob Reiner for the rest of his life. I mean, Carl was superb and didn't put it in your face, his politics, which I'm sure were lefty.
I'm sure.
But, he didn't bang you over the head with it.
No, they knew back then that was a bad thing to do. It was you were gonna alienate way too much of your audience, so they kept the yaps shut.
Yep.
Thank you, Norman. Yeah, that's now they something happened. I don't know when this was, whatever it was, but something happened and they really thought people cared about what they had to say about politics. And that's fine if you have an opinion. But the horrible thing, the terrible thing about Hollywood is they want to tell you how to live your life and tell you what your politics should be. It's not just, these are my politics. These are the candidates I support. It's you're dangerous. Democracy's over in a year. And then hearing Jane Fonda talk about the waxing fantastic about the old days. Judy Garland, she was a raging alcoholic drug addict. We were supposed to listen to her? And what were they protesting back then? I don't remember hearing about it. You'd see them maybe occasionally backing a candidate, but nothing like we see now. The entitlement that they have an entitlement now to tell you how to live your life from behind some of the most secure gated houses you'll ever see, treated like royalty. And you poor lowly serfs that work for a living, they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you how to live your life. Thank you, Jane Fonda and Rob Reiner and all the rest of them. Here's another one, actually. I think early on she probably was Clown of the Week a couple of times, maybe once, maybe twice. But she's got her own show online. She was part of the MSNBC Cluster F for quite some time. Your Clown of the Week this week. Let's hear some horns and squeaky shoes. Clown of the week.
The Anthony Cumia Show presents the Clown of the Week.
Oh, yeah. Joy Reid. That's right. Even when they throw them off of their propaganda networks, like Don Lemon and Joy Reid, they're like cockroaches. They're like the legendary cockroach. If there's an atomic war, we've always heard the planet will still have these disgusting little creatures clickety-clacking around when the lights are off. And Joy Reid has gotten herself a little show. She still does interviews with people. And I found this funny. It's not a long clip, but it says a lot about Joy Reid and her ilk. This is what the horrible thing that Donald Trump and MAGA want America to be. And listen to the hate she has for the idea of what she's talking about here. Joy.
Is that if you go back before the 20th century, there were no income taxes, there were no regulations on business. You could earn as much money as you want, leave 100% of it to your children with no taxes. Right. That's the world they want back. And to get it back, they need society to change. They need people to be less modern. They need people to want fewer things.
Did you catch that? I certainly hope you caught that. Wow. It really sounds like Trump and MAGA and the supporters want something called freedom, autonomy, the right to pursue life, liberty, and happiness without the government in your pocket. You know, there was a time there wasn't income taxes. Oh, people want to make a lot of money and leave it to their kids. Oh, the gall, Joy. The nerve. We should be shelling it out to you and your people, perhaps, paying reparations, health care for illegals. How dare we want to go back to a time where we weren't being shaken down by the United States government, that if we didn't pay up like a store owner, where the mafia came in and said, that's a nice picture window, it'd be a shame if anything happened to it. If we don't capitulate to the shakedown, we go to jail. That's how income tax works. I think everyone knows that. But Joy Reid, her take on it is this is a terrible, terrible thing to want to pursue. The old days. What does he want? Yeah, Joy, freedom. Freedom. And listen to how she's talking about it with such disdain. Imagine wanting to make something of yourself, to start a business, especially back then when so many things were open. You could do a lot more because there wasn't government restrictions and regulations. You could make something of yourself. And yes, you have family and you're at the tail end of your life. You look around and go, yeah, I want to leave the rewards of my hard work to my family so that they then could pursue their dreams. But no, Joy Reid, and believe me, she's not alone. Oh, she's an idiot, but she is not a lonely idiot. There are plenty of them that have this same take. They want your money. They want everything you worked hard for to go to them. And the idea of passing it down, you know, they always talk about generational wealth and how that's another dog whistle for white supremacy and superiority and all this nonsense. Why? Because someone many years ago, a family's ancestor, decided to work hard, be innovative. Maybe you sprinkle a little luck on top of it, taking risks, taking chances, especially in a a new nation, and against all odds becomes successful. And all this moron sees is a payday, is someone to milk and to just carve their pound of flesh off of. She's talking about keeping your wealth and letting your family run the rest of your family history's relay race with what you're handing them. And that's awful. That's a terrible thing. The death tax that these idiots want is obscene. Your entire life, you're paying these people taxes, and the tax money is not going to make your life better. A lot of it, especially under Democrats, are going to these programs that do nothing for working people. You are just an ATM machine to them, and it's giving health care to illegals and all these other ridiculous programs that are wastes of money, lining their pockets, kickbacks, whatever you want to call it, shipping it overseas to God knows what. And then, again, against all odds, you're able to pile up a little war chest. You've done well. You've utilized tax laws and done all these things to protect your money. And you're looking forward. You could leave this mortal coil with the thought that you've set your family up just a little better because of your hard work and what you did in your life. And Joy Reid and her ilk, the politicians, they come with a giant hand and take half of it at least. Half of it. And your family's like, why? That is so unjustified. You might, some mental patient might be able to justify it by saying, well, it's an arrangement where you don't pay any taxes your whole life. And then when you pass away, whatever you've accumulated, you got to give a portion of the government. You might even be able to debate that somewhere. But truth be told, you're paying taxes your entire life. And they're always going up. And then you die and you're not done yet. Joy. And the regulations. So you're incapable of starting that business. 2025 is not like 1905. You're not just going, well, I got this great idea. Let me start up a factory and I'll hire some people, whatever it is. And hit or miss. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but you gave it a try. And if it does work, you pursue it and it's successful. You know what you would have to go through these days? Do you know the roadblocks that the government puts in place through the restrictions to keep you from starting any type of business that might lead to not even wealth, just a little autonomy, being self-sufficient, not depending on the government. And that's really the ticket, ain't it, folks? That they do not want you to be self-sufficient. This is another thing that's been proven time and time again. The more restrictions that are put in place, the harder it is for you to live your own life without needing the government. And that is their biggest nightmare. Ooh, their biggest nightmare. You need to be shackled to them with an obligation to somehow hand them a stack of money every year, or you lose your supposed freedom that you have. You're shackled to the government, but that's your freedom. Go ahead, run, do what you want. Oh, that chain's a little short, isn't it? Yeah. And don't pay them their cut, you go to jail. That's how you're rewarded for success, for hard work, for trying to set the table for your kids and their kids. And Joy Reid could not be happier about it. And the prospect of somebody wanting more autonomy in this country, more freedom, more of the concept that the government is the people. We run them. We tell them what we want, and they take the appropriate actions. That's gone. It sounds stupid. It sounds naive to say stuff like this in 2025. You know, the government works for you. Ha! Really? Can we take a look at that? They work for me. I'm going to tell them I'm not giving them their yearly cut of my money because they work for me. Hey, what are you doing? You're cuffing? No, I didn't do nothing. Why are you doing so much? That's where you end up. This illusion of freedom. It's still, I guess, better than anywhere else in the world. I don't want to black pill people on our American way. And I understand taxes are necessary to a point to keep infrastructure going. And I think a lot more money is wasted and thrown away and given to crap programs that none of us want to be part of. Instead, in lieu of infrastructure and things we all really want our money to go to. You know, I was talking earlier about the essential workers that still have to show up for work, even though there's a government shutdown. Why are there any other people in the government besides essential workers? I don't want to pay non-essential workers. The government shutdown is a great time to look around and go, okay, essential workers have to go to work, even if there's a shutdown. And the rest of the people are furloughed, and even the people working might have to wait for their check until the bill is signed that says government's back open. But if things are working, why do we have these non-essential people working for the government? Oh, because it's a big, bloated money grab. And the second Trump or anyone else really tries to do anything about it and say something to the effect of, hey, we can cut a lot of jobs, then he's the worst person in the world. Worst person in the world. I heard he's racist also, because a lot of black women apparently work for the government, and they've been laying off a lot of people that work in the government. Apparently, black women took up a lot of jobs that were redundant, not very necessary. And when Doge and Trump looked around, they said, maybe we can do without these. I'm sorry that especially the previous administration, to make it look like they were doing so well that their jobs reports went up every month or every quarter. Sorry that those were useless government jobs. Again, it works the same as the border. Open the border up, a bunch of illegals come in. Now Trump has to figure out a way to get them out of here. Well, you hire a bunch of people for jobs that aren't needed for the government. The taxpayers are paying their pay, so you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. They're not real productive private sector jobs. And then when someone looks around and says, hey, these are worthless, redundant jobs, they aren't doing anything, and taxpayer money is going to it. And you cut the jobs, and what are you? Racist! And again, Joy Reid. There she is. That clip, I loved it. 18 seconds, I believe that clip was, and it said so much. Politicians that she supports, they don't want you to keep your wealth. They don't want you to have a position where you can make wealth like that. So they restrict you. And then when you drop dead, they want your money. They don't want it going to your family, your kids, their kids, and whatnot. And Joy was ecstatic to get this word out to people. She believes it. This isn't something I would be embarrassed if I believed in that. You know, here's what I believe, but please don't let it out. It's a real stupid, a stupid idea that I have. All right, back with your calls, 800-848-9222, and more idiots. I think Hillary Clinton's on the way. It's been a banner week, folks. More in moments. Bien, gracias. Oh, sorry, folks. I'm just trying to learn Spanish. before the Super Bowl halftime show so I can understand Bad Bunny. He said that we got 4 months or so. I don't know, the Super Bowl, I guess January or February maybe. And he was on SNL and he said, you know, you might not understand what I just said. He was speaking Spanish, but you have to learn before the Super Bowl halftime show because that's what language he's going to be speaking. So I'm just brushing up. You know, I wouldn't want to upset the likes of Bad Bunny. Anyone supporting the NFL at this point is a masochist, not a sadist, a masochist. Just go out back, find yourself a switch, and just hit yourself over your back. That's pretty much the same thing you're doing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. I think we have to hit the continue thing on the phones. Why does that keep popping up? I have no idea. Let's go to Kevin. Plunk down Kevin in Long Beach, New York. Kevin, what's up, my friend?
Hey, how are you? And that was a great rant before. That was well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Appreciate it, my friend.
Getting back to Hollywood. Getting back to Hollywood. You know, in the old studio days, you know, the golden age of Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
These guys, their whole credo was, you know, Spencer Tracy, Cagney, Bogart, all the bigs. All they said was be on time, hit the set on time, hit your mark, learn your lines, and that's it, you know. It wasn't a craft to these guys, you know. And then they would go to, you know, and then during the war, you know, they'd sell war bonds and sell stuff for the country or even go and enlist into the army.
Enlist,
you know, and look how far we've come, right? Look how far. Now they're contributing to the fall of the country now, you know, and it all happened during the 60s. That was the big transition with the Vietnam War and everything else. All those guys, Coppola and all, you know, all of them, that's where it all changed, you know.
Yeah, the arts, the artsy people, the directors and whatnot, going through the tumultuous 60s and then pumping out, you know, propaganda. Hey, I like their movies. I watch them. But truth be told, you're right. They started really pumping out this propaganda. And look, the government was always pumping out propaganda. Even those old films for war bonds and stuff are like, hey, we need the American people to contribute money for the war effort. And the celebrities would get up there and talk about it. But it was a very American thing. And it might have been a little naive, but we were, it was early in the 20th century. Now there's this, you suck, we're awesome, you better listen to what we have to say. And regardless of what your life tells you and what your experiences tell you, forget about that. You're not smart enough to make your own decisions. Jane Fonda needs to tell you, or Rob Reiner is the expert to tell you how to live your life.
Hanoi Jane.
Hanoi Jane, man.
And Reiner's been at it a long time. When he was a meathead, he was a liberal. And then you ever see a movie, Where's Papa, when he was in court with the general because he cut his foot off or cut his toe off?
I didn't see
that one. He had a small role in that. And he had cut his toe off so he can't kill.
And Hillary Clinton, Hillary Rodham, sometimes they blurt it out. Sometimes they just blurt it out, and it's plain to see. They're not ashamed of it. They don't know any better. Let's listen to Hillary talk about social media and the need for regulation lest they lose control.
If the platforms, whether it's Facebook or Twitter X or Instagram or TikTok, whatever they are, if they don't moderate and monitor the content, we lose total control. And it's not just the social and psychological effects, it's real harm.
Who's we, windbag? Who's this we? We lose total control. She said it. She let it slip out, didn't she? If we don't moderate these social media platforms, we lose control. Well, I think she's right. I'll be honest. She is right. But boy, that's not something that's good. We don't want moderation to the point where they can control us. Since Elon took over X, I've seen so many more people come back that were banned from the platform than have been getting thrown off of the platform. There are a few, they really go off and say some things that are against the terms of service. A lot of it entails doxing people, making threats, terroristic threats. But you could throw around some pretty offensive language, but there's no right. You don't have a right to not be offended. And I think it's fantastic. And the last thing it needs is any type of censorship, moderation, because it always gets moderated to their end. They're offended by what you're saying, and not offensive language, just offended by what the ideology you're posting. And Hillary Rodham right there. We need to moderate this lest we lose control. Who's we? Boy, I am really liking Pete Hegseth. And you could tell by how much the Democrats hate him and are trying to downplay him being the Secretary of War. Huh, good God, y'all. And I think it's great. They don't like him. He's not what do they call it? Like cordial? Nice? He's a nice guy, but as far as things go, like the military, and that's his job. Let's make the United States military the supreme fighting force. Because, look, we haven't been. I think there's such a drop-off to number 2 in the world that we've always been number 1. There isn't really a country, even China. I'm not talking nukes or anything, but even China looks and goes, they're pretty formidable. The United States military, pretty formidable. But we look at what's happened over the past few years, and especially under the 4 years of the Biden administration, we have seen an influx of just empty, the old Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey circus tent into the recruiting office. That's what they've done. Ladies and gentlemen, step right up. See the bearded woman soldier. That's what's happening, or was happening. And like everything else I've talked about, the border, Biden's mess, Trump has to fix it. Trump's the bad guy for fixing it. And this is another thing, the United States military. They have screwed with it. They've tried the social experiment of transgender and gay people and women in combat roles and all this stuff, this feel-good experiment, like women in law enforcement. That's great. Sit in the precinct, put your ass in a seat, type up some stuff so a guy can be out on the street doing the job to the best of their ability. And we've seen a military where, who wouldn't be disgusted seeing what was put in leadership positions in the military? Freak show. Incompetence, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I've seen videos of sailors on submarines or aircraft carriers, and it's a guy, supposedly, with rouge and lipstick and eyeliner, sashaying around a ship, talking about how awesome they are. And there's no place for that. The military isn't an experiment. It's been battle tested over time. And I think the people in charge, the real people in charge, not the mental institution we had, they understand what makes a strong military. And this diversity for the sake of diversity nonsense ain't it. If something ends up being diverse because you looked for the best people involved, the best people you could possibly get for that job. And then when you find the best people, get them all in one place and look around and go, wow, that is a diverse group of people. I'm glad we picked the best people that we could. That's one thing, and that's rare. But if you're just saying we need a room full of diverse-looking people, regardless of how well or not well they perform their duties, that's diversity just for diversity's sake, and it doesn't work. And throwing in things that are bad for morale, that prevent the military from being battle ready, that's a crime. That is a crime. So Hedgeseth has been speaking of late, and I love it. Secretary of War. Here he is. This clip is him talking. He got a bunch of generals and admirals together in a room, called them from wherever they were, so there would be no mistake. Oh, you didn't get the memo? Oh, you weren't in on the Zoom meeting? He wanted them all there looking at him on a stage as he said, we are done with that. This is what we're doing now. And if you're not aboard, goodbye. And there's no saying I missed the memo. That's why he brought them all together, one place to go, here's our mission now. So here's Pete talking about how they are done with the woke military, and I couldn't be happier.
No more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses.
I love that one.
No more climate change worship. No more division, distraction, or gender delusions. No more debris. As I've said before, and will say again, we are done with that.
Yep, you dropped a little S-bomb there. Done with it. And that's great. It's such plain English. I don't understand how any American of right mind doesn't get that and go, yeah, I like that. I understood every word he said. This wasn't some political jargon. He wasn't trying to pad it so as not to offend anybody. This is what was happening. This is what's happening now under my leadership, and we're done with all that. Here's another clip talking about physical fitness. We've seen the military just go down the tubes, and we see this again on a lot of police departments. You got these obese people, sometimes, again, more times than not, women, and they can't do their job. They're too fat to do the job. Sorry. And physical fitness should always be part of the military. You look at some of the other armies, big armies around the world, you don't see this. You just don't see this amount of unfit soldiers. So he had something to say about that, too. Listen.
With physical fitness and appearance. If the Secretary of War can do regular, hard PT, so can every member of our joint force. Frankly, it's tiring to look out at combat formations, or really any formation, and see fat troops.
Fat troops.
Likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading commands around the country and the world. It's a bad look. It is bad, and it's not who we are. So whether you're an airborne ranger or a chairborne ranger, a brand new private or a 4-star general, you need to meet the height and weight standards and pass your PT test. And as the chairman said, yes, there is no PT test. But today, at my direction, every member of the joint force at every rank is required to take a PT test twice a year.
Awesome.
As well as meet height and weight requirements twice a year. Every year of service.
Beautiful.
Also today, at my direction, every warrior across our joint force is required to do PT every duty day. Should be common sense. I mean, most units do that already.
Yeah. This is a guy who isn't all talk, no action. Do as I say, not as I do. When he meets with the troops, he does PT with them. And earlier, he was at the, because Trump was at the 250th birthday for the Navy, I believe that was, and they were having a football game. And Hedgeseth got down there and set some kind of a record for the most people doing push-ups at one time. And he's right down there on his face. This guy isn't all talk. But they just don't understand it. They don't understand this type of thinking. They don't see the military. It's not a democracy, the military. It isn't. This isn't a, what do you think? What do you think? This is an organization that needs to be run through strength and discipline. A lot of discipline in there. People look at old clips of what it used to be like for new recruits to come in front of drill instructors, and they're horrified. They can't imagine that they were treated that way. And they change things, and you look around and go, oh, God, it's just, it's not the way it's supposed to be. Well, Sunny from The View, she, being the military expert she is, she couldn't understand what Pete Hegseth was just saying in the clips we just heard. So listen to us, Sunny, and we'll try to figure out what this idiot was thinking.
I'm actually really befuddled by why he did that. The optics were terrible, meaning all of our top military brass are all in one place, and we spent $6 million to get them there.
Money well
spent.
That
didn't make a lot of sense to me. It also didn't make a lot of sense to me that he was saying that he was going to toughen physical standards and review the anti-hazing policy by sort of implementing a hazing policy. And then also he said he was going to return to the highest male standard for combat positions because the troops were fat.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that was supposed to be an uplifting message for our military.
Maybe he's referring to Colonel Sanders.
It was really a bizarre thing. He started talking about woke DEI policies. By the way, there are no gender quotas in the military. By the way, he fired more than a dozen military leaders, many of them people of color and women. He fired the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, General Charles Brown Jr., who is African-American. Yeah. He fired the first woman to command the Navy, Admiral Lisa Franchetti. I don't understand the sort of hypocrisy of firing these people, having all these people meet together, and then denigrating them.
Did you look at it? They're looking at him like he has two heads.
No, they weren't. See, they actually believe, these hens, these cackling hens, believe that his speech needs to be uplifting. Does everyone need to be uplifted? If you've looked at an organization like the United States military over the past few years and said, my God, what has happened to this fighting mechanism? We need to change things. Why should that be uplifting? No, he got him in one room and said, this is what we're doing now. Forget about that. Now we're doing this. They got a problem with physical fitness and physical training? That's a bad thing? Oh, he talks about, hazing, and then talks about bringing back hazing. The hazing she was talking about was him saying, hey, how about they do physical training every day? How about they have to get down and do physical fitness training and pass tests every 6 months? And they look at it like that's a bad thing. And that the generals and admirals are looking at him going, I don't understand what this guy's talking about. How that show goes on is beyond me. All right, don't go anywhere. Back in seconds, more of the Anthony Cumia Show. Sandra wants to talk about standards in the military from Jersey. Of course, Sandra, how are you, dear?
I'm doing okay. I have a little stomach ache. My daughter cooked dinner right now. I don't feel good, but I don't think it's from her cooking. It's okay. But, two things I wanted to comment on, Anthony.
Yes.
One, I remember in high school, when you tried out for the twirlers or the cheerleaders, they had a very strict criteria. No, if you tried
out for I thought you said you. I didn't think that secret got out.
No, I became a twirler, but that's not the point. But if you went home for the summer and you came back in the fall and you gained a lot of weight, you weren't on the team anymore.
Right.
So there are certain standards that you have to keep, and the same with Pete. He's correct. You don't want heavyweight people in the thing, because they're not going to perform effectively.
Sandra, you're absolutely right. When those twirlers take the front lines against the Chinese army, I think we'd be in a lot of trouble if they were a little rotund. So continue, dear.
But Okay, and then the other thought that I had was Donald Trump is a businessman. We all know it. He's brilliant, and I think he's secretly happy that we have this shutdown because this is a chance for him to eliminate a lot of jobs that we really don't need, and I think that's great. And I think it's almost like continuation of Elon Musk in the White House. This is great. And then I want to ask one thing.
Sure.
I would like to see the senators that are so quick to have this shutdown, let their salaries suffer as well. I don't see why they. No, I know.
Never happened. Never happened, Sandra. They protect their own asses. We know this. We've seen it. And they care nothing about the real issues, wants, and needs of the American people. Thank you, dear, calling in from all the way over there in New Jersey. There was another one of these Senate here. I don't even know when these things happen anymore. There's so many of them. Most of them don't amount to anything. But this is Senator Hawley, and this is something I was talking about earlier, these people that profess to know everything about what they're so passionate about, yet they don't. They don't know anything. And here's Senator Hawley destroying. I didn't even know this was a thing. Joe Biden had a director of gun violence prevention. Can you imagine these Dem cities before Trump is trying what he's doing? He's trying his damnedest to get whatever law enforcement into these cities to prevent the carnage that happens every week. And they're fighting him tooth and nail. But under Biden, there was this director of gun violence prevention. Must have been doing a bang-up job. Like there was no gun violence going on. And he was sitting there in front of Senator Hawley, who brought up this guy's own report to him. And he doesn't even know what's in his own report. This is how they don't know what they're being paid to know. It's astounding. Listen to this.
Comprehensive approach is defunding the police, which is what this says. The entire time. This is so typical of what the Democrats do now. After your policies have transparently failed and led to the deaths of millions of Americans, now you say you've never heard of defunding the police. Your own report recommends it on page after page after page. Let me ask about something else you say. Here's what you say we ought to invest in. Instead of funding the police, here's what we ought to invest in. We need to invest in programs that acknowledge the need for safe space initiatives led by lesbian, gay, bisexual, two-spirit, trans, and gender nonconforming people. What's two-spirit?
Well, look, I don't know exactly. You guys are pulling some interesting quotes.
This is from your report.
It's your report. At the report, the focus is on investing in violence intervention, outreach workers.
What is you say that you shouldn't invest in the police, but we ought to invest in two-spirit community programs that acknowledge two-spirit individuals.
We are not going to discriminate
what is that?
We're not going to discriminate against any nonprofit that
what
wants
is
to help us prevent violence in
What
our
is
community.
two-spirit? You say don't fund the police, but do fund programs that create safe spaces for two-spirit people. What is? I just want to know. I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is.
Well, I honestly, I'm not completely aware of the language or the
wrote the
spirit of how that was
report.
written. But what I'm telling you is that what is
a two-spirit individual? I mean, really, this is your policymaker's playbook. You are the witness called by the Democrats on this committee, so I assume you reflect their views. Well, you don't want to fund the police. You want to fund safe spaces for two-spirit individuals. What is a two-spirit person?
I feel like I'm looking at a two-faced individual because you talk about reducing
no, sir.
violence.
You're looking at somebody who's reading you your own words, and I'd like to hear an answer.
Programs.
Here's the answer. The answer is you don't have any solutions. You want to invest in gobbledygook and take away money from police officers who actually keep our communities safe, and when you're called on the record, you deny it.
I could watch those clips over and over again. The times they are a-changin'. This is, they've gotten away with this crap for how long? This guy supposedly wrote this report. You know damn well he didn't even look at it. Some staffer wrote this up, and it was submitted as this guy's report. He didn't even look at it. And it's probably a young intern with piercings all over the place. And then goes, hey, two-spirit. They give the speech to a friend, maybe. Here's my speech for the the guy that's going to be the head of director of gun violence protection under Biden. Do you think this is good? Well, why'd you just put LGBTQ and this and marginalized? You should put like Two-Spirit in there. Oh, yeah. And then it gets out. And Senator Hawley's like, what the hell does that even mean? And he's like, hamna. Ed Norton. He didn't know what it's in his own report. And to see him getting called out like this is great. And look, I know we fast forward, nothing happens to these people. They're able to just lie, make stuff up, not do their jobs. And nothing's going to happen to this idiot. He'll go on to something else. But it is fun to watch them squirm. And then he got all defensive at the end. What is Two-Spirit? I don't know, but I'm looking at a two-faced mother. He got all flustered. You got to keep your cool, brah. Keep your cool. That was awesome. Senator Hawley, he's great. Director of Gun Violence Prevention, and all we're seeing is continued gun violence, unless, of course, Trump directs ICE, the Border Patrol, and the National Guard to back them up into these cities. And then we see a drastic decrease in violent crime and murders. And then you'll hear Governor Pritzker and Mayor Johnson screaming like they're coming in there to kill people instead of preventing the murder of these citizens in these states and cities run by the likes of Pritzker and Johnson. Pritzker and Johnson. It's like a diaper company. But when we come back, we'll play a little bit of Pritzker. He's bitching about the National Guard in Chicago. And then something else, what Chicago's doing. They may stop doing traffic stops, the Chicago PD. This is beyond any reason, but they're doing it. All right, stick around. Don't go anywhere. More of the show. Everyone loves when I talk about our good friend Steven Singer. Hey, it's Anthony Cumia here. I've been telling you about Steven, the I Hate Steven Singer guy, for decades. If you haven't heard yet, Steven Singer Jewelers was named one of America's leading jewelers. There are almost 18,000 jewelers in America, and less than 50 jewelers have received this wonderful honor. Just another reason why other jewelers hate him. They hate Steven Singer. Steven's a jeweler you can trust. He has the best guarantees, the best warranties, and all at the perfect price 365 days a year. Steven always has the best value on real diamond jewelry. No phony sales, no fake discounts or pricing games, no nonsense ever. Just easy and fun. That's why he's considered one of the most trusted jewelers in America. No one does diamonds better. Experience the difference at Steven Singer Jewelers. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. As promised, let me go to Pritzker here, talking about the National Guard in Chicago. This wouldn't make sense to anybody in any other time period besides right now. Anyone would look at this and go, why the hell is the governor of Illinois so adamant, so dead set against helping his state? And when it comes to the city of Chicago, which has an incredible rate of violent crime, why wouldn't you want federal help to curtail some of this violent crime going on in your state? Anyone looking at this from years and years ago would go, yeah, that makes sense. No, they want federal funding. See, that's what they want. Oh, the feds want to help you with your crime. Oh, yeah, but we just want their money. And then we're going to spend it on incredibly useless, stupid programs that won't do anything for crime. Illinois, I mean, it came out a couple of weeks ago. They have this program where they take violent gang members. I swear, they pay them money. And then if something pops off with a gang, they send the gang member over there talk it out. Let's rap, man. And we've already had a couple of these people on this program, these gang members, involved in murder and other violence. And they think this is the solution. Hey, feds, keep sending us taxpayer money. We'll use it as we please. We'll hand it out. We'll get it kicked back to us. We'll do favors for cronies. But we don't want your actual help. It's like when you pass a homeless person on the street and they're asking for money and you have a sandwich. It's all wrapped up nice. And you go, here, you hungry? And they go, get out of here. I want money. Oh, okay. It's exactly what they're doing in Illinois and some of these other states and cities like Chicago. So Pritzker's all PO'd about the National Guard and ICE and the Border Patrol coming into his state. So let's hear what his major malfunction is.
For Donald Trump and the MAGAs in Congress, this is not about fighting crime or about public safety. This is about sowing fear and intimidation and division among Americans. It was about creating a pretext to send armed military troops into our communities. This is about consolidating power in Donald Trump's hands.
Listen how they speak.
What he plans to do with that power now or during the 2026 elections should worry all of us.
Ooh.
When you add to that the Trump administration's effort to label as dangerous free speech critical of him, White House senior staff calling the Democratic Party fascist, the Trump-appointed FCC chair threatening to revoke broadcast licenses, and the approval of a merger in order to silence late-night comedians.
Did not happen.
Trump's threats to jail political opponents. You cannot call this anything except an attack on the Constitution of the United States.
Attack. They always call it attack, a threat, imminent threat, existential threat. He's talking about Trump doing things that they've already done. The political opponents, trying to jail them. You try to put Trump in prison. The number one leading, at the time, he was the number one leading opposition candidate for president of the United States. The only thing standing in the way of senile Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. The only thing. And they knew that he had the support and was going to win the election. He knew. They all knew. So what did they do? They tried to imprison him on some ridiculous charge that Mar-a-Lago was worth a lot less than he had submitted to a bank for a loan that he paid in a timely fashion with interest. The bank had no problem with it. It was just a kangaroo court where the one political party tried to jail the guy they knew was going to win. This is all old news. I know this. It's not that I don't respect the listeners of these stations. I just reiterate, because that's exactly what happened. And Pritzker talking about, this isn't about keeping people safe. It's political, is it? What did he do in D.C.? Has D.C. been taken over by the military? Is it some dystopian future dictatorship? Or did Trump go in there with some National Guardsmen, ICE, Border Patrol, and working in conjunction with D.C. police and make sure that those streets weren't littered with bodies at night, especially on the weekends? And it worked. And they don't want that. These people, you could argue, want bloody, dead young bodies littering their streets. That to them is more palatable than to say, wow, Donald Trump did something that actually worked. It was good for our city. They'd rather pile up the bodies and go, yeah, this is much better than having to admit that what Trump suggested and enacted actually worked. They're animals. These politicians are animals. They do not care about you. And I'm not even saying Trump cares about you. I'm not the naive guy that, first of all, I don't need that. They don't seem to understand that MAGA, Trump supporters, Republicans, conservatives, we don't put such importance on our politicians caring about us. We just want them to do their job, what they were elected to do, so that we could live our lives with the least involvement and interference from the government. That's it. I don't need a hug from Donald J. Trump. They need their politicians to talk about it, because you look at the Dems, look at their speeches. They're just packed with, we care. Let me tell you a little story about a woman that, and it's because we care. We want people to. No, they don't. It's a lie. They don't really care. Let's be honest here. But it's the constituents, the supporters that need them to care. They need hugs, a little pat on the head. It's pathetic. Do your jobs. Set the table for Americans that are motivated, that have some intelligence, maybe a few new ideas, and they just want to pursue that without you chasing them with your hands in their pocket, tripping them up, putting an obstacle course in front of them with government regulations. That's all we want. I don't need a hug. That's fine. We don't need to be cared for by our politicians. Oh, God. So then this brings me to this other story, which is Chicago under the great Mayor Johnson. Boy, you people in Chicago, almost as disappointing as my fellow or previously fellow New Yorkers, ready to vote in a communist Muslim as your mayor. Good luck. It's going to happen. I hate the thought of it. I love Curtis. I'll back him till election night when it's all over and I'll still have his back. But truth be told, you dummies are going to vote in this Mamdani, and he's going to further destroy what Adams and de Blasio had already destroyed. So, but Chicago's got Mayor Johnson. I thought Lori Lightfoot was bad. People. The civilian panel that oversees the Chicago Police Department is pressing ahead with plans to limit the kinds of traffic stops officers can make, even though its own polling found that most Chicagoans do not want these restrictions. So every time a Chicago Police Department officer pulls over someone in Chicago, it must be racist. It must be illegal. What, you got a blinker out? Doesn't matter. It's illegal. They don't think anyone should be pulled over by the Chicago Police Department for anything. I don't know. I remember getting pulled over a lot, especially when I was a kid. I didn't have enough money to replace that headlight or the tail light or get an inspection. And I didn't complain. I didn't like it, but I knew damn well I was the one that was wrong. And now it's going to cost me a little more than it would have to just get the headlight replaced or get my car inspected. Well, they look into it and have to figure out that it must be racist. And they don't want Chicago PD pulling people over anymore. The Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability, which develops CPD policies, is weighing proposals to scale back pretextual stops. Pretextual stops. When officers pull drivers over for minor infractions as a way to investigate more serious crimes. It's called driving dirty. It's called driving dirty. It's when we watch a video of some guy hauling a few kilos of coke in his trunk, and he's going from Florida up to New York on route on 95, Interstate 95, and he's doing 90 miles an hour. What do we say? What an idiot. I would be circling my car 80 times with every light on. I would look if my car's blowing smoke. I would make sure my license, everything is in order. Because that pretextual stop, they happen. And you got Coke in the trunk, you dummy. Let's see. The U.S. Supreme Court has said for decades that such stops are legal. But commissioners have made clear they want to curb the use in Chicago. Because Chicago is known for its peaceful, nonviolent, non-criminal behavior. Whatever the commission decides, the rules will not touch other agencies. So Cook County sheriffs out there can still pull people over. Here's an example. On September 14th, deputies stopped a man in River North for driving with an expired registration. They ended up arresting the driver, 40-year-old Terrell Washington, who served a 16-year sentence for murder in 2024. Why? Because according to sheriff's office, he had a loaded handgun in the car. Judge Antara Rivera ordered him detained. 5 days later, deputies stopped a Chevy Impala with expired tags. The driver, Jason Harden, allegedly had a loaded gun in the car, too. But Judge Rivenda dos Biles denied prosecutors' request to keep him locked up. Harden was released pending trial. So it all depends on the judge. And now they want to stop these preemptive stop. It's not like, here's the issue with this. They're not just randomly pulling cars over. They're not looking through. First of all, you can't look through the black paint they put on windows and call it tint. But when they pull someone over for expired tags or equipment violations or whatever it might be, that gives them carte blanche to proceed with some type of traffic stop, asking the people to step out of the vehicle if they smell weed, whatever it is. I'm all for it. If it's getting violent criminals off the street, everyone should be for it. This isn't a rights issue. You're not dragging people out of the car and randomly searching people. This helps the citizens. They want this. For now, Chicago Police Department is still conducting traffic stops, and they've been fruitful, too. Here's another one. September 20th, officers spotted a car parked in a fire lane. When they tried to pull the driver over, he sped off, running red lights. Out of safety concern, cops called off the chase. They do this a lot now. But tracked him through the city's surveillance cameras until the car returned to the same block. Oh, smart move. Officers arrested 39-year-old Walter Diggs as he walked away from the vehicle. They found a handgun with a machine gun conversion, a switch. Come on, man, get your lingo right. That's a Glock with a switch. And a drum magazine outside the car. I love these things. They think they're going to be so badass. Turning a Glock into full automatic with 100-round drum mags sticking out of the bottom. It jams after 2 rounds. Bop. There you go, stovepipe. Good luck. Good luck clearing that before one of your cronies ices you on the street. Look at me. I know my street lingo. Don't pull a rod on the heat. A stolen car charge, whatever. Yeah, there you go. That's what's going on in Chicago as far as them having a problem with law enforcement. If it was some town in Maine and the local Andy Griffith sheriff was shaking people down or something, maybe then. But you are looking at a major metropolitan city here. This is a major city that is rife with violent crime. And the leadership, term used very loosely, of Chicago has a problem with anyone outside of their little political paradise that they have going for themselves. Anyone that wants to actually do something, actually look for a solution to the problem, they chase them out, and then they change the rules and the laws to make it even more dangerous. They have a police department, Chicago PD. I don't need the National Guard. We don't need your ICE agents and stuff. Oh, so you're going to give the Chicago Police Department more latitude to do what they need to do to cut down on gang violence? And no, we're actually going to make them stop performing traffic stops and finding these violent felons that are driving these cars dirty. And it gives us a great excuse to pull them over and see what they're up to and talk to them and look around the car inside from outside with a flashlight and perhaps see something that would make it possible to take this violent person off the street. Yeah, no, we can't have that. We can't have that. And we don't want Trump helping. Stack them up. Stack up the bodies. That's what they want. The caring Democrats. That's what they want. Unbelievable. Unfriggin' believable. But that's, and then he's got, again, I would be hiding. If I was Governor Pritzker, I would be hiding because I'd have to imagine my policies are so pissing off the residents of Illinois that I can't show my face. This is embarrassing. I'm doing the exact opposite of what they voted me into office to do. But they're so full of themselves. They have such a lack of ability for self-evaluation and to read the room that he thinks he could get up in front of a podium and say what we just heard him say, and all the citizens are going to go, yeah, yes, that guy's awesome. Instead of going, we just want to stop the murder. What are you doing about it? Well, stopping police from pulling people over. All right, that sounds reasonable. Don't laugh, New York. One New Yorker out there laughing. I don't want to hear it. Mayor Zohran Mamdani. That's all I got to say about that. Back in seconds. Don't you go anywhere. More of the Anthony Cumia Show in moments. We're talking about hypocrisy. A lot of that going on in the world, especially in the political world. But this one has swung both ways. And I've commented on it on other programs and in my personal life. Of course, I'm speaking about the Riyadh Comedy Festival in Saudi Arabia. And during my time with the Opie and Anthony show, whether on regular radio, we were on WNEW in New York, and then Sirius XM satellite radio, my various podcasts over the course of the years, being guests on people's shows, I have interacted with a lot of comics. And some of them to this day remain very good friends of mine. Others, not so much. And it's astounding that these comics, and especially the ones that were invited to do this comedy festival in Saudi Arabia, most of them are liberals. Most comics are liberals. I've seen some conservative comics, and they're very funny, but most comics are liberal. It's like any other show business platform, even though it's stand-up comedy. Let's be real. How high up the showbiz ladder are they? There's 3 or 4 of them over the course of history that have made bank, packed arenas. There's some of them doing it right now. But, most of them, they travel around like some vagabond across the country, discount planes, discount hotels, playing 2 or 3 nights in East Alabama. And, they get up on stage. Hopefully they're very funny. Many of them are, especially the ones I've hung out with over the years. But there's this liberal lefty lilt that they have. Over the course of time, I've also noticed that they are very open to people goofing on their ideology. They like to play down when they have some idea about politics. They go, I'm just an idiot. I'm a dummy. What do I know? I was just talking about this. It's political. I don't get much politics. And then they goof on it, make jokes, which is great. Great. I have many comic friends. They're very funny, very cool to hang out with. This is something completely different. And now for something completely different. This comedy festival is in Saudi Arabia. Not really known to be the most humanitarian people in country. So we kind of have to look and go, you really want to do this? You really now want to take everything you've said on stage, all this liberal stuff. And over the past 4 years during the cancel culture where conservatives were being called racist and Nazis and homophobic and gay phobic and canceled. A lot of comedy clubs would not book a conservative comic. I was canceled over that period of time for doing a radio show and a podcast, and I addressed things like race, sexuality, and I was summarily bounced. A lot of these comics that call themselves free thinkers, they shunned me. To this day, there are some comics that will not talk to me. I will not talk to them, and that's just the way it is. But then when you turn around and go to a country like Saudi Arabia, whose humanitarian record ain't that good, just ain't that good, and you kind of go, that's hypocritical of you. That is unbelievably hypocritical of you to take that bag full of money. And that's really what it's all about. If Saudi Arabia was offering Bill Burr what he could make doing a comedy club or even an arena, not an arena, a theater or what have you in the United States, he wouldn't take it. They offered these guys a boatload of money. And then you got to ask yourself, why? Why would they offer so much money? Just give me a nice first-class ticket on Emirates, get a little suite across the Atlantic. Why did they offer them so much money? Because they knew they'd have to. They were buying something. Now, these comics sell their act. They go to various places. They do their set, and they get paid. They get paid at a rate that they feel is worth what they're giving. Here's my act. I get up, I'll make people laugh. But they're giving them a lot more because they're selling a lot more than just their act. I'm not going to get too crazy by saying they're selling their soul, but they're selling their ability to ever again get up on a stage and pontificate about women's rights, slavery, homophobia, transphobia. You forfeited that. They bought that from you. They put money in your hand and you gave them your ability to speak out and criticize people that you deem racist, homophobic, and whatnot. That's what they paid for. Your act is part of that. I'm sure the lovely people of Saudi Arabia wanted to hear your jokes about airplanes and whatnot. But you sold something a lot more than just your act. You gave them a piece of you that had the ability to get up in front of people or in your private life, call out certain people for being an ist or a phobe in some way, shape, or form. Enjoy your money. Hope you're happy about that. Before the break, talking about the Riyadh Comedy Festival in Saudi Arabia and the comics, a bunch of these comics taking a bag full of money for going over there and plying their wares, getting up on a stage and just sharing a laugh with a country that is actually on the top 10 list of worst countries as far as modern day slavery goes. Yeah, sure. They signed a law. I don't even know if it's a law, a policy. Even I am not above the policy. A policy about slavery back in 1969. And then there have been other things over the course of the years where they say they've abolished slavery. Saudi Arabia is still a country that has an incredible amount of modern day slavery. Top 10 in the world. So these comics that want to virtue signal, whether on stage or off, they've sold that. They've sold their ability. It's the only reason they were giving more money than they've ever gotten for just one set. All of them. They got the lowest comedians, the most unknown ones on this list, got at least $375,000. The big names, Bill Burr, Louis C.K., Dave Chappelle, $1.5 million. And believe me, they're not standing on a line waiting for boarding of a Southwest flight. There's a Airbus A380 decked out with suites, bedrooms. That's how they're getting over to Saudi Arabia. And then they get a bag full of money. They come back here. And Bill Burr, for one, he's on his podcast just talking about how, hey, they're all like us. No, we're all the same, dude. I get up there. They're all laughing. It's great. Oh, is it? Is it all great? You got your little clown shoes on. You got your little jester hat on, and you're dancing around, telling your jokes, making these Saudi sheikhs and oil people laugh. Good for you. Good for you. And look, I don't want this to turn into a who did 9/11 conversation. I do that on my my internet show, podcast, conversations with people, social media. This isn't about that. Let's just go with the original story. Osama bin Laden, we got some Saudis, came over here, learned how to fly planes. Who knows how involved the Saudis were? But that's the official story that the majority of people believe. And I would have to assume that Pete Davidson, comic Pete Davidson, who was on SNL for many years, known more for banging incredibly attractive starlets over the course of the years. But his father, God rest his soul, was killed on 9/11, a firefighter. And he was responding, of course, as so many other firefighters did, and lost his life on 9/11. And Pete has talked about this many times. He's used it in his act, which is, great. I guess it's therapeutic. But to take money from the country that you're not sure, even if you're still just like, well, maybe. I think it was this. I think it was the Mossad and the CIA. It's Israel. It's Saudi. It's this one. It's that one. Even if you had an inkling that Saudi Arabia in some way was involved, I mean, the vast majority of the hijackers were Saudi citizens. And then you go over there to tell a few jokes and look these people in the eye and make them, laugh. That's what Pete Davidson does because they handed you a sack of cash. Does Pete Davidson really need? I don't know. I haven't checked his net worth recently, but I got to imagine he's doing pretty good. I would think if you got 10 kids and they're living in a little shack and you're starving and Saudis offer you some money, you go, kids got to eat. But Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle is Muslim, right? Chappelle, Louis C.K. I've known Louis over the course of the years. I like Louis. I think he's very funny. He's not like one of these crazy staunch liberals. He does have some ideology that I look at and I read and I go, He laughed during the first Trump election. I had received a check because I was on an episode of Louis, and I got a royalty check, and it was like, I don't know, $30, something like that. And I took pictures of it and then contributed $30 to the Trump campaign because Louis was all over social media saying how we shouldn't vote for Trump. And he laughed. He sent a text that he thought it was hilariously funny that I contributed the royalties from Louis to the Trump campaign. So I would assume he has had a sense of humor about that. But Louis doesn't need money. Oh, sure, he did that thing in front of a couple of gals, a couple of young ladies in a hotel room. But it didn't cancel him to the point where he's broke. The guy's made plenty of money with his career over the course of the years. What was this allure? What was this necessity for comics that are set to go over there and perform for a bag of money, much more than you get paid for doing a gig, at the cost of some type of reputation? Or like I said, your ability to speak out about certain social issues. That's gone. You want to hear Bill Burr mouth off about racism or homophobia when you know what Saudi Arabians do to women and gays? Oh, my God. I'd be kidding me. Anyway, there are a couple of good eggs. David Cross, look, I do not agree with a lot of what David Cross says. He is a bleeding heart liberal. He's disavowed some of my best friends who worked with him in the past, Gavin McInnes being one of them. And, he's not one of these guys that can listen to reason when it comes to a lot of social issues, especially if they're conservative. So, David Cross slams Bill Burr and more comedians performing at the Riyadh Comedy Festival. I am disgusted, he says. How can any of us take you seriously again? There's the ticket. It's exactly what I was saying. Comedian David Cross released a fiery statement on his website Monday condemning the comedians who agreed to perform at Saudi Arabia's Riyadh Comedy Festival. Quote, I am disgusted and deeply disappointed in this whole gross thing, Cross wrote, that people I admire with unarguable talent would condone this totalitarian fiefdom for what? A fourth house, a boat, more sneakers? This is good stuff. He continued, we can never again take seriously anything these comedians complain about, unless it's complaining that we don't support enough torture, mass execution of journalists, and LGBTQ peace activists here in the States, or that we don't terrorize enough Americans by flying planes into our buildings. A little wordy, but I get it, David. I get it. Cross went on to call out specific names from the lineup, including comedy giants like Dave Chappelle, Louis C.K., and Bill Burr. Clearly, you guys don't give a, and then he uses the dreaded S word for excrement, about the rest of us and what we think. But how can any of us take any of you seriously ever again, Cross added. All of your bitching about cancel culture and freedom of speech and all that, done. You don't get to talk about it ever again. By now, we've all seen the contracts you had to sign. Yeah, that got leaked, and we saw how much money they were making and what they could or couldn't talk about. These are your First Amendment guys, right? Yeah, these are your comics. The first line of defense, man, against totalitarian dictatorship, man. We're the comics. Ugh. The Mr. Showstar isn't the first comedian to take issue with the Riyadh Comedy Festival. Mark Maron, another guy I must say I do not agree with. But he makes a valid point here. He recently took to his WTF podcast to slam those participating in the event. I mean, How do you even promote that? From the folks that brought you 9/11, 2 weeks of laughter in the desert, don't miss it. He said, I mean, the same guys that are going to pay them are the same guys that paid the guy to bone saw Jamal Khashoggi and put him in an effing suitcase. But don't let that stop the yucks. It's going to be a good time. So Mark Maron had an issue. And, I've had great respect for what Shane Gillis does. Very funny. He was canceled by SNL for making some Asian jokes, impersonating an Asian accent. I believe that was his huge crime against humanity. Shane Gillis also disavowed the festival, saying on his Secret podcast that he turned down an invitation and a significant bag for an appearance fee. He said, I took a principled stand. You don't 9/11 your friends. And other U.S. comedians set to appear at the Riyadh Comedy Festival include Kevin Hart, Pete Davidson, Russell Peters, Gabriel Iglesias, Wayne Brady, Jeff Ross, Tom Segura, and Hannibal Buress. So there you go. Everyone has their price, people. Don't let anyone fool you. Literally, a guy whose father died on 9/11 going to entertain the very people, the very country where the hijackers that flew those planes into the Trade Center that collapsed and killed his dad. Big enough bag of money? Pete's there. Back in a few. Stick around.
Listen, I want to comment about this clown, Mamdani.
Oh, yeah.
32 years old, useless. I just want to touch on some. I just want your thoughts about this. Here's a man who said the greatest mayor of the city of New York was Wendell de Blasio. Now,
yeah.
I'm going to make a point in there, Brother Anthony. This guy is going to pick this guy to be the first deputy mayor of the city of New York or another high-level spot.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. You think de Blasio is going to be part of his administration?
Absolutely. Somebody's got to do more. So your comments on that and my thoughts.
Thank you, Larry. Wow. I didn't even see that coming. I didn't think you could get a two-fisted holding your two-fisted version of the worst mayors New York could possibly get. You get Mamdani, who I believe is going to make de Blasio look like a great mayor in history. But both of them working together, I don't think we can do that. New York will elect Zohran Mamdani. They will. I have no faith. We've seen what New York State is capable of, and the city is a microcosm of New York State. It's worse than New York State. And you got Hochul as your governor, Chuck Schumer as your senator who won't leave. You keep voting him back in, regardless of what he's doing to the state. Oh, Jesus Christ. But, yeah, I was going to talk about Mamdani. You're not getting off the hook, New York, so easily. I wasn't just going to crap on Chicago. Mamdani, he wants to raise $10 billion. Yes, you heard right, people. The big B word, billion, from increasing taxes. He needs $10 billion in his war chest in New York City so that he won't have to listen to anything Donald Trump says. He doesn't like the idea that the federal government can stop him from doing things, say that if you proceed with that, we will cut off federal funding to this. So he wants to get $10 billion just raising people's taxes. They didn't even go that far with me, and I left. I left the damn state. Now, the New York City residents have to deal with a mayor who wants to squeeze you for $10 billion. Listen to this reasoning by the great Mr. Zohran Mamdani.
I've proposed is that we raise $10 billion to pay for our entire economic agenda and start to Trump-proof our city, because we know he'll use federal funding as leverage over this city.
Yeah.
And we will do so in two key ways. The first is to match the state's top corporate tax rate to that of New Jersey. We are at 7.25%. They're at 11.5%. Corporations can pay it over there. They can pay it over here. And the beauty of it is that it doesn't just apply to corporations headquartered in New York City. Because when you say this, people will say, well, they're going to go to Florida. Mm-hmm. Wherever you are headquartered, as long as you do business in the state of New York, you are taxable for that corporate tax. We're talking about corporations that are making millions of dollars, not in revenue, but in profit. And the second is taxing the top 1% of New Yorkers. We're talking about people who make $1 million a year or more, taxing them just by a flat 2% tax increase. And I know if 50 Cent is listening, he's not going to be happy about this. He tends to not like this tax policy, but I want to be very clear. This is about $20,000 a year. It's a rounding error. And all of these things together, they make every New Yorker's life better, including those who are actually getting taxed.
Can you even? So they're going to tax corporations what they tax them in Jersey. Because if you could pay it in Jersey, you could pay it here in Manhattan. No. No. They could jack their taxes up in Jersey because everything else is dirt cheap. Companies running out a business out of Jersey, what do you think they're paying for rent? What do you think they're paying for materials? All that. New York, they have to balance the tax burden with the other financial burdens. So now you're taking that. You're like, well, we're a business. We're in New York City. Everything costs an astronomical amount of money more than in any other tri-state area. And now you're just going to jack the taxes up. There's no benefit. You know, there's got to be a compromise, some kind of a balance. It's like, well, I am paying more in taxes, but I'm in Jersey. Everything else is cheaper. I did the math, and even paying more taxes, I still make out because it's not New York City. Now he wants to go, hey, it's the same, right? You're paying 3 times, 4 times in some cases, what you're paying to rent office space in New York City than you would in Jersey. But who cares? Just jack the taxes up anyway. And then when him or anyone else starts talking about individual income of $1 million, $1 million, it's New York City. And look, I'm not trying to make it sound like $1 million isn't a lot of money. There are people that will never see that, never make that. It's an astounding sounding amount of money, but everything's relative. In New York City, $1 million a year, it's not that much. It really isn't that much money for New York. And you blow through a lot of that million before they start coming with their hand out, looking for your tax money. So to call that the wealthy in New York, sure, if you're in Oklahoma, I'm living large. New York City, not so much. And he wants to fleece you to the tune of $10 billion to make him impervious to any restrictions Trump, the federal government, might put on his Democrat, liberal, communist policies that he wants to spend this billion on. Let's see, time 29. Yeah, I could probably wait on the next clip. He does another thing where it's a couple of clips, actually. He talks about violence being a social construct, which I don't even know what that means. And then he blatantly gets racist by saying he'll tax white neighborhoods. New York City, I don't know what to tell you. I'm so gravely disappointed in New Yorkers. And I hear from a lot of people that go, it ain't me. I'm voting. I did that. How did it get to this point? Someone's responding. It wasn't just the left. It's not just liberals. You're there, too. I know a lot of Republicans, a lot of conservatives, independents. I know a lot of them in New York City. Why haven't they been active in the electoral process over the course of the years? Why has it become a Republicans don't even have to leave the house on Election Day? We know what's going to happen. They're going to elect the Democrat. So you don't go out. You don't talk to your buddies. You don't do anything. You just go, well, I guess we're stuck with this guy. And then when I say I'm disappointed in New York, you go, hey, it ain't me. I don't vote for the guy. Well, you don't vote for anyone. I've said it before. If every Republican got off their ass on Election Day, every New York City Republican got in their car, went to a polling place, and voted for Curtis Sliwa, you would have Mayor Curtis Sliwa. But you won't get off your ass. So it is your fault. It is. That's why we don't have Governor Lee Zeldin, Governor Hochul, because you didn't get off your ass because there's nothing we could really do about it. There is. You just choose not to. I'm sorry. This is tough love, people. I love you, New York. We love you. But you're disappointing your dad here. Very disappointing. All right, we'll be back playing some more Mamdani clips in moments. Stick around. I'm stunned. I'm stunned this is a thing in New York. You know, we see what happens in Minneapolis, Minnesota. They ship a bunch of people from Somalia in. The politicians know they have to really cater to Somalis. So you watch them speak, like Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis, and, of course, Ilhan Omar, and all the nonsense we get out of that state. But New York, you know, I know it's a very diverse city, but I know a lot of people there that shouldn't have let this happen. Should not have let this happen. You slacked off. You weren't paying attention. De Blasio wasn't bad enough. Then Adams, and no one was trying to build something, build a movement, and go, what are we doing, New York City? And now you have a communist Muslim that is, aside from a miracle happening, is going to be the mayor in New York City. So we were talking about the $10 billion in taxes he wants to raise. And then you hear the other little part of that? What happens, Zohran, if the people leave your tax-paying base, the companies that operate in New York? What if they go to Florida? Well, we'll just tax him anyway. He's going to chase you down. I don't know. How does that bode for me? I do a radio show here. It's based in New York City, but I'm in South Carolina. I get paid. Am I going to have to kick up to the mob boss, Zohran Mamdani, up in New York because I left the state? I'm still going to have to kick up? And this thing of ours goes round and round. There's no getting out of this. You got to kick upstairs. I don't want to. But that's his thing. He's actually saying, well, I've thought about it. If they leave, we'll just tax them anyway, no matter where they go. They'll hunt you down. It's the mafia. It's the mob. So he says he's going to tax people. Now, will this be across the board? Are we looking at tax as being something more diversity, equity, and inclusive? Or is he looking to tax one group of people just a little more than another? Well, thank God he actually answered this. Here's Zohran Mamdani saying where he's going to really start poking around and sniffing to try to figure out who he wants to tax. Zohran?
And realize there's a policy proposal that says your plan, and I'm going to quote it for folks, is to shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. Explain why you are bringing race into your tax proposal.
That is just
I'm a racist?
description of what we see right now. It's not driven by race. It's more of an assessment of what neighborhoods are being undertaxed versus overtaxed.
So no plans to change that language on your website?
The focus here is to actually ensure a fair property tax system.
Fair.
The use of that language is just an assessment of the neighborhood.
oh, it's just an assessment of the neighborhood, saying white. You know, I've heard them bitch and complain when people say, well, why are there more policemen? Why is there more police activity in black neighborhoods? And then you try to say, well, they're going where the crime is. And oh, my goodness gracious, will you be called out as a horrible Ku Klux Klan racist? And then something like this, they go, well, it's the language. We're just saying the white neighborhoods are the more wealthy and the ones we should tax. Why? How do you say that? Why isn't he being called out for being racist? Why did he have to bring skin color into this? He said wealthier neighborhoods, more prosperous, I guess you could say that. A greater tax burden. But he had to say white neighborhoods. It's on his website. And I'll tell you why. Because he wants people that he knows will vote for him. Read that. To let them know, yeah, I'm not a fan of white people either. Vote for me. I'm not a fan of white people. That's pretty much what Zohran's running with here. Why else would that be part of the language? Why? White politicians, white police brass, they're walking on eggshells to try their damnedest not to bring skin color into statistics or anything they're saying about where they're patrolling. They go, well, there's more crime in this area. They don't go, well, we're going to make sure we send more cars into the black areas. They don't say it like that. We know what they're saying. But they don't say the actual thing. Well, Zohran feels he's got no issues with saying white neighborhoods. Hey, we're going to tax these white people. Don't you worry about it. And we'll pass everything on to the people of color in New York. And again, what are you doing, New York? What have you done? What have you wrought? What have you wrought? Well, look, financially, I think we can all agree perhaps Zohran Mamdani will not be the best thing for New York City. I predict a spiral, a downward spiral, reminiscent of my childhood, the old field trips I used to take. Oh, we would get on a bus from some elementary school out in Suffolk County, Long Island in the 70s. And we drive west. Go west, young man. Where were we headed? The American Museum of Natural History. And the second we got through that Midtown tunnel, I was flabbergasted. I might as well be on Mars. From my suburban little enclave of Suffolk County, I was now transported into this world of decadence and sexual deviance, crime, horrific people walking around like it was a zombie movie, and criminals. Look out that bus window like, I don't even know what this is. This is another planet. And hopefully the youngsters of today can live that experience that young little Anthony lived doing a little field trip to New York City back in what I call the day. So at least if the finances won't be in order, at least we'll be a safe city. Because Zohran Mamdani is known for his passion about fighting crime and making the city safer for New Yorkers. Here he is talking about violence. Zohran?
Oftentimes, we've even found as legislators, when we go into these courts, the term violent crime is even used when people are stealing packages. Violent crime is even used when people are accused of burglary and there happens to be a housing unit in that same dwelling. So violence is an artificial construction. And we have to be very clear what's happening here with these district attorneys. That is violence. That is violence at the highest degree.
So the few district attorneys that are actually prosecuting these crimes, they're the violent ones. You see? Do you get it? They're the violent people. The criminals, why? They're just stealing a package or burglarizing a structure that perhaps is connected to a residence. Just let him off. Give him a lollipop and let him go back home. Why would you call that violence? Well, I'll tell you why. Because he's lying. This is a lie, and this has been used with liberals that want to decriminalize violent crimes. I've seen enough videos. I've talked to enough people. We've all seen it. You get a car, it gets pulled over, and thank God, I will tell you, police body cams are the greatest thing that came out of Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter during the St. George Floyd case, all of the cases that gave us these riots that had happened. Mike Brown. What we heard were we want all police agencies and officers to have body cams, because then we'll finally see the abuses, the oppression, the police brutality that happens on a daily basis, especially against people of color. What we get is some of the most entertaining videos you will ever scroll through in bed at night before you go to sleep. I love it. I will sit there and chuckle at some dope that will not step out of the vehicle. The cop's like, Mims versus Pennsylvania says you got to get out of the car. I know my rights. Apparently you don't. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, you don't know anything about your rights. And it turns a simple blinker, headlight out, tint too dark, whatever it is, a simple citation, if not even a warning, into a felony arrest of resisting with or without violence, not identifying yourself, not stepping out of the vehicle, not obeying lawful commands, whatever it may be. And a lot of times these are labeled as violence. And then someone goes, well, I was tased. I was thrown to the ground by 4 officers and handcuffed for a blinker? No. I think you know this is not about the blinker. I think the blinker situation ended the first 8 seconds the cop came to the window and said, could you roll the window down and give me your license, registration, and proof of insurance? So when Mamdani talks about someone stealing a package and they get arrested for a violent crime, it's a lie. No one that stole a package and gets arrested is booked on a violent crime. Now, let's say the homeowner noticed someone stealing the package, went out to confront them, and are met by either actual violence, physical violence, or the threat, come near me, I'll kill you. Hey, that's my package. Yeah, try to take it from me. I'll beat your ass. That's violence. Now it's not just taking a package. It's strong-arm robbery. You're robbing someone with the threat of physical violence. It's a violent crime. So stop with the semantics that he was just stealing a package. A burglary in a building that has a connected dwelling where people live. Well, yeah, there are people in there. A lot can happen. I absolutely see that without anything even happening beyond robbing a place that's connected to a residence. The direction that can lead to in too many cases can result in someone getting hurt or killed, whether it's the perp or the resident. So, yeah, I'm all for that being considered a violent crime. You're encroaching on someone's domicile. That's bad. That can definitely turn really nasty really quickly. So stop. Stop with the violence as a social construct. If you dummies think New York is going to be a safer place because of Zohran Mamdani, I see the on the street things. Oh, so who you voting for? Zohran Mamdani. Why? Well, he really seems to know what the people of New York need to make it affordable. And, I just like his vibe. You like his vibe, do you? I hope you like Thunderdome. Watch The Road Warrior. That'll give you a little inkling on what life in New York City is going to be like under a Zohran Mamdani. And then I just question how it got to this point. You conservatives, you all dropped the ball, didn't you? You all dropped the ball. This is fun, too. This is Maxine Waters. Look, a lot of these alt reporters, I like them. They go out there, they question these dummies, and when the dummies don't have an answer, they get mad. That's what it is. I would love if a liberal alt reporter came up to me and asked me about something I'm passionate about. Anyone would. If you really felt strongly about a topic and had really researched it to the point where you felt so confident that you could defend your point, you could enlighten people, educate them based on what you've learned, you're expecting it. You're like, please question me. They hate when anyone questions them because they don't know what they're talking about. Maxine Waters is a great example of that. That dumb Maury's wig on her head from Goodfellas. Maury's wigs don't come off. Even in hurricane force winds, she got that dumb wig on her head. This girl's questioning her about, hey, we'd like to reopen the government. Why do you Democrats insist on having this medical care for illegal aliens in there? And she starts, well, we don't talking about what you're doing. She gets all upset, but pretty much fesses up to illegals being on the health care till on this bill that they're presenting to reopen the government. So let's give a listen to the great Ms. Maxine Waters.
Do Democrats want to prioritize the health care of illegal aliens over a government shutdown? Because if the government does shut down, Americans...
Excuse me, stop it right there. We're not prioritizing. What we're doing is saying simply we want to keep the government open and we want to work with the Republicans and have a bipartisan agreement to keep this government open.
Bipartisan.
And health care is at the top of our agenda.
Illegal health care.
Demanding health care for illegal aliens?
Yes.
Democrats are demanding health care for everybody.
Oh, everybody.
We want to save lives. We want to make sure
because they care
that health care is available to those who would die, but having the help of their government.
So you're good with the government shutdown, even if it means giving health care to people who aren't American
citizens? Here she goes.
Well, that's what you're pushing on. What you're trying to do is you're standing here and you're trying to make me say that somehow we're going to put non-citizens over Americans.
You said it.
Stop it. This is the kind of journalism we don't need.
No, I'm just
you're
asking.
divisive.
Oh, honest
no,
journalism?
You're not.
Yeah, no,
you're being divisive. No, please. You don't need to ask that question. You're just trying to get controversy here. You're not going to get it from me. We want to save health care for all people. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Congresswoman. She literally flipped her wig at that point. It came off her head. It flipped. Nadia Comaneci. It just flipped and landed on her head upside down. And then a man poured soup in it, and they all ate soup from Maxine Waters' flipped wig. Quite a scene, man. She said it. She said she wants health care for everybody. Come here, Stu. You got to come to Colorado to Boulder, Stu. Bring them with you. She said it. And then she tries to get on the girl that's doing the interview, for trying to be divisive? No, she's saying, will you sign a bill that doesn't have health care for illegals in it? I can't believe what you're doing. And then the wig popped off. It was wonderful to see. All right, stick around. We'll be back in a matter of moments. A little more left of the Anthony Cumia show. But mucho apreciado, in the words of Bad Bunny. I'm trying to learn Spanish. Why is my dog barking? Shut that butt up. My show would not be complete without a clip from the beautiful, gracious, classy Jasmine Crockett. Oh, yeah. This one, I call her cannon fodder. That's not a violent thing because I don't suggest anything fire out of a cannon for her, you know. But she's just cannon fodder. She's one of these Democrats that the upper echelon is allowing to make a fool of herself. Because I had my theory. I think I've said it enough times. Briefly, it is that they will come up with a viable, seemingly centrist Democrat candidate for president. They will. But in the interim, they want as many lunatics to still be pumping out this left-wing nonsense that they've been doing for quite some time now. They need it a little longer. Right around the midterms, a little after, this guy, whoever it is, will make his debut, and he'll talk about border security, and he'll talk about crime and international topics such as tariffs and the fact that America is the ATM of the world. He'll talk, and you'll be like, wait, this is a Democrat? This is a liberal? Because in contrast to Maxine Waters and AOC and Chuck Schumer and Jasmine Crockett, he will look like a conservative. And even the independents will look at him and go, wow, the Democrats have really come up with a centrist candidate. But it's not. It's all forced perspective. If you pump out mental patients for years, and then you put a guy that's kind of somewhat reasonable, he will look like the greatest candidate on the face of the earth. And that's what they're doing. Mark my words. At some point, they will unveil who this is going to be. It's not Newsom. He's already got the stink on him. It's going to be someone we don't even know. You have to be a poli-sci major right now to even maybe have an inkling of who this guy might be. It'll be a guy. It'll be a white guy because they just want to win at this point. And that's what we're going to see. Just wait. Once he comes out of the woodwork, I'll go, here he is. It's the guy I've been talking about. But in the meantime, enjoy the freak show they're pumping out there in order to make this guy look better when he finally steps out. Because in contrast to the lunatics that we are seeing these days in the Democrat Party, he's going to look great. So Jasmine Crockett, she is more of the fear factor thing. Obviously, Donald Trump trying to clean up Biden's mess of the invasion over our southern border has to mean, it can't just mean that he wants to get rid of illegal aliens in this country. It has to mean that it's just leading to citizens, U.S. citizens, being rounded up, arrested, and then subsequently deported to some faraway land. So let's hear Jasmine talk about this. Jazz?
For me, specifically Black and brown people who have said immigration is not my issue.
So everything that is taking place, it is going to impact you. Same thing with immigration. Whether you're an immigrant or not, especially because they are out of control, they are rounding up U.S. citizens. But if you allow them to do the illegal things to non-citizens, at some point in time, they are going to actually round us up too. The whole game plan with this administration is othering, right? And it's quite astounding that you do have the president and the vice president, both clearly white men, who are married to immigrants. Like,
yeah.
What? Like,
yeah,
and constantly
legal.
ushering. I'm like, Barron obviously gets a little bit of a pass because of how he appears, right? But JD Vance, his kids got some melanin. So I mean, I don't even understand how you can convince yourself to do something that ultimately may be harmful to your own family. Like, that is diabolical.
Diabolical. How do you put that together? How does this dummy put that together? That just because there is a legal issue, getting rid of illegal aliens in this country. It's not new. Trump didn't come up with the idea of illegal aliens and they're here illegally and we need to deport them. He didn't invent that out of nowhere. And how does she make the connection that because that's happening, it must mean it's going to lead to American citizens being deported, and that J.D. Vance's own wife and kids will be on some boxcar to some faraway camp or so. It's the fear factor. They try so hard to convince people that because Trump is doing exactly what he should be doing, exactly what he was voted into office to do, legally, constitutionally, that it must mean that he's just gearing up to perform atrocities against American citizens. Shut up. Shut up. All right, folks.